And thank you very much for Gary for doing this for us. I'm super excited. I've posted a few other WeWork Stories events, and I know this one is going to be the best yet. So I'm totally stoked.
Ever. Not yet. There will never be one better than this.
That's it. We're done. That's so cool. I want to actually start. I'm going to ask a few questions. I want to get a little bit more information about Gary. I actually haven't spent that much time chatting with him before, so I'm going to start when he was pretty young, and we'll work our way up, and then we'll open up for Q&A. There was Gary. I'm really curious. You had a quote, I think, somewhere online, about how when you were 8 years old, you were out there actually selling lemonade as other kids are just still learning how to squeeze it. I'm really curious about sort of, with your background and coming over here to the United States as a child, what really drove that sort of passion for you to really create something when you were 8? You should have been running through sprinklers, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I ran through sprinklers as well, like slip and slide and plenty of other things as well, but it's crazy. I mean, it goes back to being 5 or 6 years old and trying to sell stuff. At some level, DNA is one powerful thing, and it's just something that has always been there. I've never filtered the world without thinking about business. It's just been in my brain. I've always thought about how can I sell this or how can I do that. It's there. And so to me, it didn't seem weird. To me, like when it started snowing, I did not think about building a snowman. I was like, I should make a quick note. My sister is literally in labor right this second. So I just want you to all know how much I'm committed to commitments, because family is my thing, and I'm getting the hell out of it. Usually, as I told you on the phone, I was gonna stay a little longer and shake some hands and kiss some babies, but I'm out. I gotta go to Jersey and see my new niece. I hopefully will be arriving any minute. But speaking of that, my sister, it started snowing, and I would just look at my sister's face. I was 8, she was 4, and I was like, get your fucking shovel, we're going to work. And so, that's I was pumped when it would snow because I knew that I was going to shovel driveways and make cash. And, a lot of people around me know that I'm not obsessed about scale. I like putting in the work. I like the dirt under my fingernails. I'm proud of it. I think it matters more than I think we think. I think we're living through a culture of a lot of smart people right now, especially in our space here, that are very predicated on the math and the analytics and the efficiencies. I take enormous pride in caring about that stuff, but I think you need to put in the work, and putting in the work has been something that's always just come very natural to me.
I mean, we've seen it through, your life right after college, you decided to really get your hands dirty with your parents' business. And back in, I think it was 2006, you started The Thunder Show, which was amazing. For those of you who don't know, Gary started saying Wine Library TV, where he would rate these wines, and he had this unique way of getting even the least common denominator of wine connoisseurs, myself included, to sort of understand.
Somebody
wine.
is here from Istanbul. That was what? That was such an awesome conference.
It really was.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, sorry I'm fucking you up.
Totally fine. I'm here to stay on my toes.
By the way, get very used to it.
So when you did that, this was a great show, we all loved it, but you at one point, I think it was back in 2009, maybe it's a little bit later than that, you decided to stop. And stopping almost anything is really tough, that momentum. How do you come to that as an entrepreneur?
Well, I mean, it was 2011. I did 1,000 episodes of Wine Library TV, and a month before I decided 3 or 4 months earlier that 5 years of 5 days a week putting out a 25-minute show was a good run, right? It's not, and I decided that I was going to retire. And at the last minute, maybe 3 months, 2 months right before I was going to retire, I balked. I started feeling like I was going to let people down. I didn't want to let I started reading every comment. It started for 3 years, comments, 20, 40 comments per episode saying, don't ever stop. People knew that it was that I was grinding. And all of a sudden, when I knew I was going to stop, every time I saw that in the comment section, it hurt. And it started building. And so I kind of panicked, and I decided to start something called Daily Grape for the people that most follow me remember. And I decided, okay, if I'm going to stop, let me do something new, shorter form, because I was into this whole micro content thing that Vaynermedia has evolved into. mobile, so it was mobile driven, subscription to buy, like, so I tried to make it work for me. It just, the decision was done at that point. So I did do 89 episodes of that as well. I decided it was time. I just woke up one morning in early 2011, I was like, that's it. I did it. I'm at this point now where I feel complete about this part of my career and journey, and there's other things that were starting to pull at my heartstrings and other things that I was thinking about, and I've always knew that it was going to be a chapter. I think for a lot of people, you can go read blog posts in 2009, 8, when I started talking about business and not just wine. People in America and really the world love to keep you in your lane. There's a lot of people that said to me, why are you talking about business, wine guy? Stick to Pinot Grigio, asshole. Things like that. And it was funny to me to think about it because to me, I was always a businessman before I was the wine guy. I built a very large e-commerce and retail business long before I ever started that first episode of Wine Library TV. So it was fascinating to me that I was happy that I made that decision because I was getting ridiculous offers to do a television show, the Bravos and the Food Networks of the world, and they were very attractive. They would have allowed me to become really famous. I would have made it, but I always balked at the 11th hour on these deals, mainly because I knew that I would become America's wine guy if I made that play, and I just knew there was other things I wanted to talk about, and I didn't want to pigeonhole myself, and heck, if a fairly successful internet video show made people feel like they wanted to keep me in that lane, what would have a hit TV show done, right? And so it's kind of what we do, right? Like, it happens to actors, like Tony Soprano can't do shit because we just can't get him out of our mind as Tony Soprano, and I'm an entrepreneur first, right? I'm an entrepreneur first, and I just needed to be able to talk about those things, needed to be involved in those things, and it just felt like the time was right.
That makes total sense, and I personally very much miss Wine Library TV, mostly because back when we were just starting Indie Hall in the 215, you actually came down and brought all the wine, and I made a couple really great friends there and had a very late drunk evening. But I appreciate that, and I'm glad that you're doing other things now as well. But one thing is, and it was 2009 you started Vaynermedia, correct? And so you did that with somebody who you've known for 26 years now of your life.
Yes.
And family matters to you a lot, and it's your brother. And I am more curious about how that relationship works now that you're working together every day than how you sort of got to there. Like, how has that changed the way that you two interact?
Before I answer that tremendous question, I just want to say that I love Frank Esposito. I'm reading it, baby, but I'm not reading the board anymore. I'm not going to ruin the interview anymore by reading the board. That was the last guy. He's a Vaynermedia employee. It's interesting. Listen, family business. How many people here, by show of hands, work in a family business? So, for the 5 or 6 of you, there's dynamics in a family business that are very different than any other business that you could be in with different partners. AJ is 11 years younger than me. I would tell you that, in some weird way, AJ's my first love, right? Because I was, he's just my man. And I was like, 17 when he was 6. And my dad is very, very different than I am, and very much a different character. And he's the best, but he's not kind of the guy you go to talk about anything, right? It's just, just the truth. He's old school. He does amazing things in many places, but emotionally, he's not, bringing that to the table. And AJ and I, because of our age difference, have almost a brother-father kind of thing going on that's very kind of unique and special. And we've met so many people that are 11 or 12 or 9 or 10 years apart and don't have what we have. It's tough. I was out of the house when he was 7, right? And so it's just a very unique thing. We have a very, very, very special bond. I've been very successful in family businesses because at the end of the day, I love my family more than I love money. There's just really nothing else to say. And I fucking mean it. Like, a lot, it's easy to say it. People say it. But you also have to know the players. I've been lucky that both my dad and my brother don't mind me being the face. Or, I want the limelight. I want the engagement. I want the interaction. It's the kind of creature I am. Both of them are a little bit more introverted, differently wired. So I spend a lot of time understanding what makes them tick and what they care about. So I bring that to the table. And then, and it's been nice that they've been able to allow me to do what I need to do. it's changed in the fact that, AJ and I are running a big company. VaynerMedia has gone from 25 to 250 employees in the last 18 months since I've gotten fully involved. And so we're running a big company and we're moving very fast, and there's a lot of Vayner employees in here, and they know that like we're running a very fast entrepreneurial ship, and we have our ups and downs and lefts and rights. And the unfortunate thing that a lot of you know is you have to take time to step out of your business mind, because AJ and I only talk about shit, bad stuff. AJ and I only talk about bad stuff. That's what happens when you're a leader. That's what happens when you're running the show. You're talking about the problems because you're trying to address them. And we actively try to figure out ways to celebrate the wins, but it's not in our DNA. We're climbers. So we're worried about the rocks ahead of us, the rocks we're dealing with right now. We tend to never celebrate enough. And so what's changed is where all our conversations used to be predicated on lightweight, we stress about the Jets, but for the most part it was pretty lightweight stuff. Now we're talking about very intense stuff, we're very ingrained into it. And it's been an interesting journey with him because I'm mentoring him before I was kind of the son of a father, and so I'm in a different place. I think it's working extremely well. The thing that AJ and I have that I don't think my dad and I even had is, I wouldn't call it respect, but I got it. I came into my family business as a 21-year-old kid and exploded it. I walked in and in 4 years took a business from $3 to $25 million. So I don't disrespect 21, 22, 23, 24-year-olds. I understand what you don't have, but I sure know, since I just did it 5 minutes ago, I know what you might have as well. And so I respect AJ in a way that none of my contemporaries thought I would, not in a way that a lot of my contemporaries thought I should. And I think it's helped us. And AJ knows how to coddle my ego and my wants and my insanity. And I'm willing to do whatever, but when I make a decision that I want to do something, if I walked into the office right now and AJ could taste that I was dead serious and I said I wanted to pivot to sell chickens on 7th Avenue, he'd be like, fuck it, let's go. And I need that, and he gives me that, and I just think we're tremendous partners.
I'll definitely buy them. It's clear that you are passionate and you care about a lot of things, your family included, and you, family first, and you said in the past that caring about others is both a gift and a curse for you. And I'm really curious about, how has it been a curse? Like, what have been the things that have really worked against you or been negative because of it?
The number one asset in the world is time, and I've given time to so many things that on paper are difficult to understand why, and in retrospect are difficult to understand why. That's why. I really, it's my strength. Listen, I know my success is predicated on it, so I can never hate on it. And I don't talk about, a lot of people here know who I am. I don't talk a lot about negatives. Everybody's got problems. I'm uncomfortable sharing mine. But it's, as you start getting more known, what am I going to talk about? Crushing it every 40 seconds? So you try to evolve, your conversation. And, after talking, I'm a minority. I'm an edge case. So after talking about things that I think other people aren't seeing and have built up to be fortunate enough in a place where this many people want to come and see me speak, then I started saying, you know what, maybe I should start talking to the 1 or 2% or 3% that actually do look like me. And that's been where some of those things have come out, and I actually appreciate you doing your homework. That's a very good question. Listen, I have a very tough time saying no. I have a very tough time not trying to over-deliver, even if it's for a perfect stranger, let alone an entry-level employee, an employee on his first day, or somebody that's in my world. I over-index, the things that I over-index on, like empathy, are why I'm successful, but they're also very difficult to manage, and it's exhausting. I'm consuming, and I'm taking on pressure from every direction, from my 2 businesses, from my personal brand, from the people that are cynical and have hate out there for it, for the concerns I have for everybody in my organization. Let it not be confused, and there's plenty of Vayner people in here and they know it's true. I'm the head of HR. I'm the head of HR. We have great HR people, but I'm micromanaging everybody's emotions to the best of my ability. I forgot that I've gotten older and I've had a little success in my career, so I think some of the entry-level employees don't believe it and they're scared to engage with me, but once they do, they're surprised. And so, you know, I consume emotion at scale, and that's can be daunting at times.
I mean, you've clearly worked on many, many things, and one that sort of we've seen over the last few years is you've become quite the active investor in a number of very interesting companies, including Tumblr, who was recently acquired, and also Grand Street, one of my personal favorites right now. Got some great products, but I'm really curious about where do you see the next kind of, for you and investments, if it's in tech or not, over the next like 3 to 5 years, maybe even 5 to 10, where do you see sort of your focus in that changing? What's exciting you the most?
I'm starting to really consider some sort of funded vehicle. You know, I don't want to be the cliche guy and start a fund, but man, it's some, you know, listen, I'm going to be very honest with all of you guys like I always am. I suck at so much, it's not even funny, but boy, do I have intuition. And when you have intuition, when it comes to business, it can be very profitable and very, very successful. And, you know, when I look at the exits that I've achieved with, you know, early Facebook, you know, buying Facebook stock from Zuck's parents, buying the Twitter's first CTO when he was exiting his stock in '08, buying Tumblr in '09, you know, Buddy Media, Wildfire, and, you know, I mean, when I think about that, I don't have a lot of liquid to invest. It's always been my personal money. And when I think about, my God, if I had a vehicle behind this and I had 20, 30, whatever percent behind this, you know, I feel very confident in my ability to decode an entrepreneur and a business model very quickly. And so 2 things run through my mind. 1, should I ever consider getting a little deeper in that space? You know, a lot of people know me for what I am out here, and then there's people that know me a little deeper. A lot of the people that I've been lucky enough to invest or advise in, one thing that I don't think a lot of people know is I'm a very deep product kind of guy, right? Growing up in retail, my retail store was my product. I thought about end caps and what to put at the register. So conversion and color schemes and copy. So it was interesting for Carp wanted me in Tumblr because he wanted me for my product thoughts. I mean, that's nuts. Like, nobody would believe that here. And so I have a very good reputation with some of the best companies in the world for that product stuff, which they want the promotion and the marketing and some of the biz dev, but I'm able to get into deals that maybe it wouldn't look like I would be able to get into. And so I may want to take advantage of that. As far as what to invest in, you know, I'm a big believer in you bet on the jockey. I'm very big on who the entrepreneur is. If, you know, some entrepreneurs will pivot 7 times and win. If they've got that stomach, I mean, there's a couple of gals recently that I've invested in. It's really interesting. Lately I've been investing in more female-driven business, Grand Street, a couple of other things, that I just know that they're not going to allow, like there's just no shot of losing, right? And there's entrepreneurs like out there that they don't, back to me selling chickens, I would only do that if I thought that was the best use of my time and the money and the opportunity. And so, yeah, I like to bet on jockeys. So I don't really, it's not like, oh, I want mobile or I want e-commerce. You know, I want people that I think can kill it, and if they can explain it to me, what they're doing, and I understand that there's a market need or opportunity, I'll bet.